Assalamu alaikum, adab, and hello. Welcome to DewaneZahra, My Story, Meri Kahani, where we share real life stories with you of strength and courage with compassion. Mera naam Zahra Hameed hai, and our guest today is the brilliant Zainab Chughtai. She is an education consultant, a therapist in training. She used to be a barrister and she studied from Lincoln's Inn. She used to practice criminal law for 5 years. She is founder of Bullyproof, a social awareness campaign aimed at creating empathy, equality, and kindness in classrooms amongst children in Pakistan. Zainab, it's such an honor and a privilege to have you here today. Welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you? You look lovely, Zara.
So do you.
Radiant.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you always look radiant and you're always a ray of positivity since I have known you and laid eyes on you. And Zainab and I are friends. We are also, sharers of lots of stories and gup and egg pyali chais, lots of them. And I am so honored that she is here today. And today Zainab is sharing a story with us about her life, and I'm also going to be alongside her sharing stories of my own, and we are going to be discussing stories about bullying, stories about body shaming, stories about how to create empathy, how to learn to be body kind to yourself, how to love yourself. And together we are going to be weaving this story together for you. And we hope that it will help you understand all these issues and these areas that are all around us from the time that we are born till the time we die. You know, we are holding on to these things sometimes very profoundly and very deeply. So, Zainab, let's start off with our childhood. But before we do any of that, I would like to take a moment, Zainab, because today has been such a difficult day. I think, and it has been such a difficult day, and I wanted to take a moment to say a prayer, you and I
Yeah,
together,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
for a fellow mother, a fellow human being, another a lady, somebody of great courage who has gone through a huge tragedy alongside her children. And there are no words, I think, uh, that can relay the kind of shock and the kind of anger we feel um,
Yeah.
as as humankind. I don't even want to, I
As
don't.
women, as
Yes,
women,
as
Zara,
women,
as a woman,
as
I am
humankind, as
devastated.
all kinds. It's devastating to see what has happened, and it is. I am just praying. I wrote a poem about it today. I wrote a poem today and posted it. I had I prayed in Juma. I didn't understand how to make sense of something like this happening. And I hope that we don't have to face these things again and again and again, the way we keep facing them. And yet it doesn't go away then. And it starts off in our childhood. I mean, let's talk about that. Let's come to the topic because I feel the topic has a direct connection to all of these things, which is talking about the girl child. When there is a child born in a family, what happens when it comes to the first exposure of a baby, a newborn baby, and the kind of uh, bullying and body shaming that starts off at the birth of a child. What is your,
I think, I mean, as from my experience as a young woman growing up in Pakistan as a female child, I just recall being told to censor myself all the time and make myself smaller somehow. As if, my body, I mean, bless my mother, we were taught safety, we were taught how to preserve ourselves, we were taught a good touch and a bad touch. And my mother was a very present mother. But it was still, I mean, there were so many things that I suffered as a young female child from within my family. Um, and this is just a trigger warning, for anybody who's watching or listening. But things that scar you for the rest of your life. And can we keep our young female children, or even boys, like our children in general, like what is this predatory mindset that is prevalent, that is just, and you just keep getting these shock waves, these reality checks. And I think it's just having, I have fought my whole life for scraps of independence and freedom as a woman, whether it's driving alone, whether it's living alone, whether it's doing what I want, wearing what I want, speaking my thoughts out loud, and and then you get, like I said, you get these reality checks that are so horrific. And it makes you think that, my God, I was deluding myself into thinking everything's all right. I was deluding myself into thinking that I have it set. I was deluding myself into thinking that I am an independent entity. I'm not. I have been feeling so unsafe, Zahra. I have been feeling so triggered. I have been feeling like that helpless child again. And, I remember from a very young age, and I realized, I used to talk about being bullied in school. Being bullied in school is a very, life-changing event that took place for me in 7th grade with a class fellow, and she was also a family friend. But when I really think about it, it started at home. It started with my family. It started with my pupiyan. It started with my cousins. It started with my siblings. It started with my parents. It just started. I was always a child who was a little, I mean, for the longest time, I was scrawny as hell. And then I started putting on weight. I remember at 11, 12, because there was just so much strife in my home environment, and food became some sort of solace, you know. And when I started putting on weight, then the comments also started. And it was devastating, because I felt I had to hide. I remember I developed a hunch. I used to slouch. I remember that, even though mere khandan mein, like, we would wear whatever we wanted to, but I remember being told by my father and then, my extended family, ki tum jo ho, because I think I grew up faster than the other girls in my family. And I was just aware of like my curvy figure from a young age. And I was told ki dupatta pehno. दुपट्टा पहनो. एंड मैं अपनी कभी कभार तस्वीरें देखती हूँ, I was growing up like 13, 14, और मैंने दुपट्टा पहना है खोल के, as if it was my security blanket, and I'm slouching in that dupatta. And I realized I wanted to hide, like I wanted to be invisible, I wanted to disappear. So from that very early age, I was told that my body was indecent, that there was a vulgarity about my being. And I had to hide. So this sort of element of self-effacement came in. And I was like, चलो फिर अगर यही तरीके तौर हैं तो ठीक है, फिर इसी तरह ही रहते हैं, ये ठीक है. And then growing up, and then there was an anger that built up inside me, because not only did the comments not stop, and they came from females as well. And then I had a group of girlfriends that were just obsessed with losing weight all the time. They were obsessed with fat diets. They were obsessed with their workout plans. They were obsessed with the latest sort of beauty trends. And I was like, yo, like this needs to be a priority. Like this is what is definitive of me. And never really feeling like my body was my home. Never really feeling confident with what I look like. And even when I got compliments growing up, they would be like water off a duck's back. Like they would never register. They would never sit with me. You know, I was just like, this bullshit. Everybody's lying. This is not true. Or bas chalo ek kaan se suna dusre kaan se nikalo. Like it wouldn't register. Or abhi bhi, Zara, like, I mean, I went through the motions of like denial, then anger. बहुत गुस्सा आया फिर. गुस्सा आया जब और सुनना पड़ा, गुस्सा आया फिर मैं बोली, and when I spoke up फिर और औरतों की stories आई मेरे पास, तो मुझे और गुस्सा चढ़ा. फिर there was a collective anger, and I saw that people now, bless the internet age and these young women that are so vocal and so emancipated in their opinions and in how they're choosing to accept their own bodies. And but I empathize with them, and I also know that I still struggle despite all the work that we've been doing on with Bullyproof. Despite my own personal journey, I am still struggling on the daily, and it's something we've been conditioned so deeply, and it's been entrenched so इतने पत्थर-like तरीके से कि I think it will be a lifetime of unlearning, like unconditioning.
Zainab, it takes one word. You could be walking very confidently down the street. I, for example, think about myself now at 42 almost, with children and everything, and I think I have spent मैंने बाल अपने सफेद कर लिए हैं अपने weight के साथ. मैंने अपनी बॉडी को एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है, वो जैसी भी है. मैं उसको सेलिब्रेट करती हूँ, मैं उससे ashamed नहीं हूँ. मैं उसको लव करती हूँ, मैं उसको एक्सरसाइज रोज कराती हूँ. बट फिर भी it will take one motorcyclist going on a motorcycle saying one mean comment, and I feel like I have fallen flat on my face. And I know that that person is not educated.
Yes.
I know that that person has no empathy. I know that that person has no business commenting on my body. But they do. And people in our society feel that it is their right to comment upon other people's physicality, especially women's physicality. I don't see a curvy man or a man walking down the street being commented upon. लेकिन जब एक औरत चलती हुई जाती है, और मैं कवर्ड थी, इट्स नॉट कि मैंने कपड़े नहीं पहने हुए थे, या मैंने शलवार कमीज नहीं पहनी हुई थी, या मैंने दुपट्टा नहीं लिया हुआ था, या मैं inappropriately dressed थी. I was totally covered, I was totally dressed, my hair was tied, everything, all the things that people will say, oh, you were not appropriately, whatever is considered appropriate. So all I'm saying is,
it breaks my heart so much that you had to give these justifications, Zara. It breaks my heart. Anyway,
because
go on.
just listening to all the non-appropriate behavior of what happened to this lady last night. They said, "Raat ke 12 baje kyun nikli? Petrol kyun nahi dalaya?" Like, it's exactly that, right? We are so attuned as women to answer these questions.
Victim blaming.
कि हमें पहले से ही we are like, oh, let's make sure that all of those conditions have been taken care of. So we put on that dupatta. I started wearing a dupatta like you in grade 6. Now in class 6, you're 12 years old. You're 12 years old and you are a child. You're a child. I started wearing black clothes when I was 12. I suddenly lost all love for color because it accentuated my curves, and I got too much attention, and my parents couldn't handle it, and they said, and I couldn't handle it, so I just stopped wearing color. So I feel कि आप बचपन से आपके अंदर वो एक fear डाल देते हैं, and that एक आपको इर्द गिर्द लोग आपको बुली करना शुरू करते हैं, and they start picking on you on the basis of what they see as a weakness, which is कि okay, weight है, वेट का प्रॉब्लम है, तो चलो जी पहली चीज तो इस बंदे को कहो कि ये मोटा है, ये मोटी है, इसको बुलाओ. उस पे वो अगला बंदे को गुस्सा चढ़ेगा, वो रोएगा, वो डांटेगा, वो मारेगा, वो फिजिकल होगी, कोई वायलेंस होगा, कोई रिएक्शन होगा. They want a bad reaction out of you. you know, and if you don't react externally, internally you do feel bad, you know. And even if you develop a thick skin over
Definitely.
even if you develop a thick skin over time, I have seen even very, very slim people being bullied for weight where they have none, you know. You will have very,
Absolutely. Zara, कोई किसी की जान नहीं छोड़ता. मैं ये देखती हूँ, like it is just, unfortunately, it is so heartbreaking that your physicality is definitive of you. I mean, हर बंदे ने comment करना आता है कि तुम बहुत पतली हो, खाना नहीं खाती, तू पता नहीं तुम कितना खाना खाती हो, कि भाई लाइक कोई किसी की जान नहीं छोड़ता, राइट? एंड फिर आपके अंदर इंग्रेन हो जाता है कि भाड़ में गया सब कुछ, मैं जिस तरह दिखती हूँ या मैं जो पहनती हूँ या जिस तरह मैं बोलती हूँ या जिस तरह मैं चलती हूँ, only that is definitive of me. That's such a dangerous way to start perceiving yourself.
yes,
That's such a one-dimensional way of giving yourself. There is no sense of self in just that. And it happens, I mean, it happens to us on the daily. It happens to our children on the daily. You know, and I'm sure like it's so horrifying, but like I'm sure even if like the fact that the first thing you lost weight, you look so good, like why is that the first thing? Like, I mean, I did it today because I genuinely think you look gorgeous and you're beaming and you're glowing. Also, like, you know, the only thing that a woman should want to hear about herself is that she looks pretty or that she looks great. Why can't there be more than that? Why aren't there comments that are, or compliments that are more nuanced? You know, and it's हमारे, and you know, body positivity that we were going to touch upon is just that. It's like no matter what shape your body is, no matter what the type is, weight is, the color of your skin is, the color of your hair, eyes, whatever. It is a movement, it is a practice, it is a thought process that will allow you to embrace and be confident in however you look, you know, and make you feel like you're at home within your own skin. And you know, with the kids even that I speak to, and even myself, and when I talk to my girlfriends, I'm just like, this is the only home I will truly ever know, my body. It is the home I was born in. It's the home I'll die in. It is my home. And for the longest time, you know, I think in the last year, Zahra, I learned how to give myself a hug and be like, thank you, body, for keeping me safe. Thank you for taking care of me when I'm sick or not allowing me to get sick. Thank you for taking care of me. Thank you for being there for me no matter how much crap I eat or no matter what I do to you. You've always pulled through. So thank you, body. You know, actually acknowledging the miracle that my body is, without having to hate on it. Now, because all we do is hate on our body. And it's so heartbreaking. I mean, when's the last time we were taught to stop, look in the mirror, and give ourselves some love? How often is it that we actually do? And half the time we look in the mirror, I speak myself. It's, yeah, go on.
No, absolutely. I think that self-love and body kindness, the way you are doing bully proof as a workshop from school, needs to be taught in school. I think it's an exercise of self-love and self-appreciation that needs to start like at the basic level, right? At you know, when we are children. I think that's where bullying starts, when we are children. The first bullying happens in kindergarten, you know, and you have your children, little children, going to school and being mean to each other or picking one another, or because they are different, or because one thinks that one is better than the other for whatever reasons, right? That reason of feeling better than the other person is actually based upon being different, because they feel I'm different looking or differently built, or I speak differently, or my parents look different. So that difference is actually a diversity, and that diversity is something to celebrate and bring people together, rather than break them apart, you know. And that diversity should be loved and respected, and that is also what we're trying to do at Dewane-Zahra, that we want to celebrate diversity and say there has to be inclusion, and body positivity is a huge part of that inclusion, you know. And you are somebody who is a body positive person, I know. And yes, if it's, you know, it's taken me this long to learn to love myself and hug myself and be kind to myself. And I have my days that I'm not kind to myself. I have an inner critic voice, like you do, like everybody does. You have an inner critic, mean voice that tells you you're not good enough, that says you know you're going to fail, whatever you're doing is not good enough. And then you have to fight with that inner critic, and then and hopefully, you know, good in you will win. You know, the good fight will win. And that's something you do by taking care of yourself, and that is a practice.
Or just you will come through, the authentic you.
Yeah,
Sorry?
the authentic you will come through through practice, Anna. The more you practice things that are authentically you, the more stronger the authentic you get, right? The more like and that is
Wearing some bright colors. Like I think when I messaged you, Nasha, they were orange, orange, because like you, for the longest time in my almari, I just had black or white or completely neutral tones. I think I started wearing color just a few years ago. And because like you, I think these are the things that we can do for our authentic selves. Like this is, and they mean so much, you know, just wearing the colors that I want to, wearing the clothes that I want to, and not giving a damn that, oh, that kurta, that kind of pants or whatever is for a certain body type. Screw all of you. I'll wear whatever the hell I want to, whatever I want to, what I choose to. You know, these little things are my little acts of, I don't want to say rebellion, but just things that I want to do for me. And I realize when I do them, I come more into that sense of self that I think had been eroded away into my childhood. I wanted to ask you something. I wanted to talk to you about, like, you know, like when I think about everything's right, what was wrong, how to carry myself, what to wear, as a woman, as a young woman now, like I'm angry. There's a lot of anger. When we were talking about the incident that took place yesterday, like even now when I think about it, I've been crying all morning, yesterday too, and there's just so much rage. And I was wondering, like, I really want, how would you tell your followers to channel this rage? Because there's amounts of rage, and I was talking about anger, and I was saying that I think मैंने देखा है कि, you know, girls have always been taught, I mean, anger in general has been told, disown your anger is something that we all have been taught to do very early on. But anger is an emotion that I believe, I mean, aggression is something else, but anger brings such clarity. It galvanizes you into doing something that you feel you need to do for what is, you know, in order to seek justice or fairness, or if you feel you've been wronged. I mean, anger is such is a beautiful motivating factor and emotion. But औरत का especially, I mean, औरत का गुस्सा होना या, you know, to showcase anger in a woman is almost like, oof, she's an angry woman. You know, इससे दूर रहो, या ये कि हमें गुस्से वाली औरतें नहीं चाहिए. You know, girls should be sugar and spice and everything nice. And that's something that pisses me off even more. You know, कि भाई कि अगर एक औरत को गुस्सा आ रहा है, और हमें क्यों आ रहा है, किस वजह से आ रहा है, और इतना, you know, अब तो मेरा Zahra. I mean, the more I hear about this, the angrier I get. And then I think about the aggressions and microaggressions that I've experienced as a woman within my home, within relationships, out in the streets, whatever it is. And I'm just thinking, God damn, there is not a single woman that I know that has not experienced the same things at the hands of men in this patriarchal setup. no matter what part of the world, I mean, इधर तो एक और ही sense of हद हो गया ना with regards to prevalence of these incidents. But कि मैं कहना चाहती हूँ, I really want young women to embrace this anger. Be angry, women. You have every right to be angry. Channel it in however you see fit. Like you said, paint it, draw it, write it out, march it out. You know, I mean, I
Yeah, I
love
think
the words and the thoughts.
you have to, Zainab, use that anger. It's not, being angry is not the problem. I think it's what we do with that angry that is the problem.
Yeah.
If we just angry and we are sulking, or if we are just angry and we are fighting, then that doesn't help us. That doesn't help us in the long run. But if we are angry and we turn it into a movement, and if we turn it into an installation, into into a story, into a serial, a film, an art piece, a comment, a writing, a book, then at least I feel that we would have achieved something from it. It's just not anger.
Agreed. I mean, if you can channel that anger into something, that's great. But I'm saying, Zara, so many of us as women have not even been allowed to engage with or accept this angry part of ourselves. You know, that there is a part of us that does get angry. And what I'm saying is that I want women to engage with and introspect and sit with and accept the fact that they are angry. And that is step one. You are allowed to be angry as a woman. You are allowed to feel that you have been wronged and that the system has failed you, and engage with that anger. That's what it starts with. I mean, more so than being heartbroken and devastated by hearing what happened, I am seething. Okay, again, how many times, how many stories, how many children, Zara, how many women? Like, what will it take? And you're absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, there is. I mean, there is no end to it. I think it's all around us, and it is happening, and it is happening in our own houses. It's not happening. It's not just happening on a road. It's happening in our houses, and I think the fact that we don't talk about it, but we all know that truth. And Zainab, I think you've brought a really important point about the boys and men in our life being raised a certain way when it comes to their mothers, their grandmothers, their sisters. I think it's up to us to raise a certain kind of human beings, not just men, but humankind, to be kind to each other, to love each other, to respect women, to respect each other as human beings. And I wish that for everyone, and I hope that we can all be in a more body positive and a more positive space in our minds and for ourselves and for each other. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope we have many more sessions with you, Zainab. And please keep a lookout for Zainab's Bully Proof platform on Instagram. It's a brilliant space for children, for children and for adults. And we will be talking to her again very soon as well. Thank you, Zainab.
Thank you, Zara. Thank you.